Where is he?
Where are you? Skull Rock. Do you know it?
Hello, everyone. This is Stacy, broadcasting from Skull Rock. I am joined by.
Hello, this is Megan. Welcome back to our Stranger Things podcast. We are happy to be here as always. So, how are you today, Stacy?
I'm doing pretty good. We are recording on St. Patrick's Day. And even though I am a good majority Irish, I never really celebrate. Every year I get that disgusting shamrock shake. I should learn. I should learn by now because it tastes like toothpaste. But no, just kind of a low-key day with the dogs. What about yourself?
Yeah, I do try to get the Shamrock Shake once a year, but I had it a while back when it first came out, and I sometimes we would go to Ocean City, Maryland, and do the St. Patrick's Day parade there.
Ooh.
My grandfather lived in Ocean City and was really big in, like, the Irish American club there.
Aw.
So, he passed away last May, so this is the first St. Patrick's Day without him, but, so it's a little bit sad, but I just enjoy, like, the memories with him, and, yeah, my dad's side of the family is, like, super Irish and loves it, but never really do too much, like, used to go out a little bit when I was younger, and I don't have the energy for all that anymore.
Amen, sister. Amen.
I joked that I should have made myself an Irish coffee to drink while we were recording the podcast, but I did not.
Could you imagine things would be getting a little extra zany?
Yeah, exactly. We were bad enough last week with just an hour of sleep for daylight savings time, so
Which, adding on to that, like, we're so loopy with daylight savings time. I love how you and I were like, we're going to get to bed early. We're going to keep it together. And, well, the Oscars was on.
yeah, that did not happen.
Yeah, you and I, like, we're just like, oh, yeah, we'll get to bed reasonable. It'll be fine. And every year I watch, even though I, like, barely watch any of the movies up, but I bet with my friends because I'm literally like, oh, that title sounds funny. I'll pick that one. And lo and behold, who did we see that was attending the Oscars?
Who showed up at the Oscars? Oh my gosh, Joseph Quinn, our beloved.
My goodness.
It was like a jump scare.
It really was because right away I saw it when I opened up my phone and I was able to catch his live carpet interview, him and Lupita. I think I'm saying that right.
Yep.
Who is such a phenomenal actress. And they're going to be together, obviously, for A Quiet Place day one. And they went as friends. And it was so cute because you could tell this was Quinn's first Oscars. And I think anybody would be a little overwhelmed. And she's a pro at this. So it was just really cute seeing them, walking together hand in hand and her kind of like whispering to him like how to pose and where to stay put. But he clearly was having a ball and just everything, like even that glam bot, like slow motion video, I thought was a riot. And you could
Yeah.
tell, like, as overwhelming as it was, like the footage of them together, it looks like they had the best night ever, which we were living for.
Yeah, they were having a blast. It's super fun because she's pretty social on her Instagram account or pretty active on her Instagram account and was sharing like footage of them on her stories and posts and they were hilarious together. He was like clinging to her like
So cute.
and they have great chemistry, which makes us even more excited to see the movie. I mean, that man has great chemistry with, like, everyone, as we know.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was super fun, and I, like, barely slept that night because I was, like, glued to my phone, like, watching the footage. I did see Joseph Quinn on my TV at the Oscars when they were, like I think he was behind Jodie Foster, so they
He
were, like,
was.
looking at her and you could see him behind her. And then I like wake up kind of early and who shows up at the after party, Stacy?
I swear I think we summoned this. I don't know, we're witches. It was Joe Keery at the Vanity Fair after party. Woo!
Yes, and good thing I went to bed before that popped up because I wouldn't have slept at all.
No, same.
Because then I was just obsessed with, like, seeing a photo of them together, and
Mhm.
we did get one. We got a
We
great
did.
photo of the 2 of them with Lupita right in between them, and I'm glad that they got to hang out again. I think they were hanging out, in in London when Joe Keery was there too. So I think it's just cool that they, have stayed friends just like we've talked about with all the cast members. We think it's great that they are friends in real life also. So it was a great night. Sunday was a great night, but it made for a long week because I've been exhausted.
My God, I felt like a bus hit me, a bus otherwise known as Quinn. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was great. And what I really liked about this week too was we got a ton of Joe Keery content. He's promoting out and about, obviously, the song that's gone viral. And I think it's just so cool that artists such as Elton John are even giving it a shout out, which must be so surreal to him. But he's been in a lot of great interviews, both in the UK and in the States, promoting the song. And it's so nice to actually hear him talk about something besides acting, because we have seen plenty of interviews where he talks about his craft with that. But in this, he kind of talks about his creative process with making 2020 and then Decide. And it's just so interesting to hear him talk. But there was one interview that you and I were cracking up over. What was going on there?
Yes. So super excited to like catch up on all of those interviews because I haven't seen all of them yet, but the Apple Music interview was fantastic. And I kind of was into that guy too. I'd love to see him interview more people
Great
because
interviewer.
he was
Yeah.
a really great interviewer. It was like, oh, we need to take notes.
Hmm.
They it was a connection to our podcast because they ended up talking about somebody said that Stranger Things was like The Goonies and E.T., which we've literally said on our podcast in our second episode, and they talked about how they thought E.T. was very scary, so that validated my feelings and a whole conversation that we had on that second
Hmm.
episode. So he also got up and, like, hugged the guy because they both thought E.T. was really scary, so I was like, well, I think it's scary too."
Yeah. Bring it in, Joe. Bring it in. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Yeah, such great interviews. And I think that's just hilarious because I feel like anybody roughly around our age thinks, looking back, that's actually a pretty scary fucking movie. But
Yeah.
no, it was just so funny. And also on top of that, like there's billboards now with Joe on them, showing his, chart growth on Spotify. It's just so, so cool to see him out and about, and he's doing charity including it. It's so surreal, but it's so well deserved.
Yeah, yep. So, it's been really fun, and it was a fun week overall. Do you wanna get into our schedule for the next couple of weeks?
Absolutely.
We today are talking about our main man, Dustin Henderson. So we are super excited about that. But we did want to give you a heads up on the next couple of weeks. So we will not have a new episode next week. It
Hmm.
is my spring break for school, and I'll be away a little bit throughout the week. So we are going to take another short week off, and after that, the week after that, we have a cool episode planned where we're going to talk about a couple more of our favorite characters, and then we're going to get into a little bit more in depth about where we're moving forward with the podcast.
Hmm.
So we will be starting our official rewatch and deep dive into each episode. So we kind of mapped it out, and it's probably going to take us about a year
It's
to
gonna
get
take a while.
through
Yeah.
all 4 seasons. We're planning on doing 2 episodes at a time and then a week to talk about something else. Every 3rd week, we'll do a separate episode so that we
Hmm.
can still kind of have some themed episodes throughout the year, but if we do it like that, it's gonna take us until, like, next spring, so that way we'll be finished with the rewatch prior to, hopefully, season 5. I think the earliest anybody is even thinking would be, like, the summer, probably later than that. So that'll get us through, and hopefully everybody will join in with us on watching the episodes and listening to us kind of deep dive into them, and we're super excited for that.
And if you guys think Steve Harrington dove deep at Lover's Lake, get ready for us going into these episodes. Yeehaw.
Oh, yes, that's perfect. We'll have to, like, make that our, like, advertisement for the deep dives, like a photo of Steve diving. Oh my goodness. Yes. So we're super excited for that. So we just wanted to give you like a little teaser for that before we get into our episode today. Let's get into Dustin Henderson.
Dustin Henderson, one of the most iconic characters from Stranger Things. I don't know about you, but he's one of the first characters that just pops into my head when I think of the show from the very beginning.
Exactly. Yes, from like season 1. Big favorite. Definitely in my top 5, and I mean my top 5 is Steve, Eddie, but it wasn't Steve at the very beginning.
Hmm.
Eddie was new in season 4.
Yeah.
Max was new in season 2. Robin was new in season 3. So my only like OG character in my top 5 is Dustin Henderson. So let's go through the seasons if you want, and we'll talk
Absolutely.
about some of our favorite moments from each season. We are going to talk about Gaten too,
Yes.
because Gaten just does the best job portraying Dustin Henderson. I mean, literally no one else could play Dustin. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
they made sure of that when they kind of even wrote like Gaten's condition into the show for Dustin.
Which I think is just so fantastic because it kind of shows what misfits these kids are at that age and how, you see the bullies kind of tease him about it, but Mike makes him feel better about it, which I think is, amazing that he's like, oh, you're like Mr. Fantastic. But I do love that it's this thing where, he's so proud when his baby teeth finally come in season 2. And just his little, remark that Susie doesn't mind kissing without teeth. She thinks it's better. I just think it's so good. And like Steve's little comment too, knowing he went too far in season 4. And it just makes him so much more endearing. And like I said, he has huge Goonie energy, just like I
Yes.
said, just adorable and lovable, but an oddball in the most fantastic way, and he's just such a baby in season 1.
Yeah, they are all so young in season 1, and he just looks like such a baby, and he is
Mhm.
so young. He just did a fantastic job, and, I mean, we'll talk about it more, but that's kind of, like, I think rooted in he already had a background in acting through
Yeah.
Broadway, so you could tell he was such a talented actor even at, like, 12 years old, like,
Mhm.
it was awesome. So, what were some of your favorite Dustin moments in season 1?
In season 1, I know we've discussed it, but him offering Nancy the pizza, because as we've said, pizza is a love language. I also like that he's the voice of reason when the party starts to fall apart with Lucas and Mike, and he's just something about his little voice being like, "And everything turned to shit," and just being the heart and the voice of reason and kinda telling the boys, like, "Get your shit together, like, we have bigger fish to fry." But I love that, and I'd have to say him finding the chocolate pudding, like, I was
Oh,
right away like,
yes.
"I like this kid." Him being like, "I know she was hoarding it." It's just so cute, him just yelling and everything, just downright adorable. What about
Yeah,
you?
so relatable, and I think it's funny that they ended up making the Scoops Ahoy ice cream, and one of the flavors is chocolate pudding. So perfect. Yeah, and I think I love the scene with the pizza with Nancy also the scene that I mentioned last week with him riding bikes with Mike, which I think it's so funny rewatching that scene because I guess Finn, who plays Mike, doesn't actually know how to ride a bike. So they you can tell that, like, when they're zoomed in on them talking, that he's just, like, pretending to ride the bike.
I am dying. That is fantastic.
And then if it's, like, a shot of, like, them actually riding the bike, it's not him, like, it's a stunt double, like
Between that and Finn made a career at the beginning of riding bikes. Look at that. Movie magic, guys.
exactly. But also this, I'm surprised you didn't bring it up because I feel like you've mentioned this scene before, but the scene when they're at the quarry with Elle and Mike and the
Okay, I
bullies.
forget.
Yeah, so that's just such an iconic scene. I mean, with Mike and Elle, it's an iconic scene, but also with Dustin just being there and kind of like being involved in the whole thing. And I mean, I think they have like what, a knife to his throat?
They have a switchblade and they're going
Yeah.
to like do some dentistry on him. And it just like it shows how much Finn, aka Mike, cares about Dustin, that he's actually willing to jump and actually accidentally kill himself to protect his friend. So just the look of relief and joy that spreads over Dustin's face when Elle shows up. And it's that wonderful music cue that we later on hear in season 4, she'll kill you. And I
Mhm.
love that iconic line of him just screaming, yeah, she's our friend. She'll kill you. You know, she's crazy and she'll kill you. And
Yeah,
them just hugging, like it pulls on the heartstrings, but it goes
the
to show you,
hugging.
oh,
Yep. It's one
kills
of the
me.
most iconic, beautiful, like, shots, like, similar to when you've talked about, like, in the graveyard with Max.
Yes.
Like, I feel like it kinda calls that back because they're all kind of just, like, hugging each other.
That's a great connection, actually. I didn't even think about that, but beautiful, beautiful shot on both scenes. Like just total chills, and it goes to show you how much something as simple as a hug that Dustin just loves his friends.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you wanna move on to season 2?
Let's do season 2, baby, because I feel like this is where Dustin really starts to shine.
Yeah, he really comes into his own and, like, has scenes independent from, like, the party,
Mhm.
which is a trend that kind of continues because he at first, and I think you've talked about this, is kind of, like, isolated from the group because he's dealing with keeping the secret of Dart from
Yeah.
them. The fact that he did find him and, like, is harboring him basically.
And Vix's poor turtle, yeah.
Yeah, and then that kind of stems into some of my favorite scenes with him when he's on the train tracks with Steve,
Mhm.
kind of like discussing his love life and hair tips. And I think that's like an iconic scene. And then I also enjoy like the scene at the junkyard once they are
Yes.
back with like Lucas and Max and Steve is fighting the Demodogs. And then my other favorite scene would be kind of in the tunnels at the end with Dart and the Three
Oh, yeah.
Musketeers. Yeah. So with him like offering him the Three Musketeers and
Being like, "I'm sorry I locked you in the basement, but you ate my cat." So cute. I think it was just because you see, like, he kinda is just as curious and infatuated with Max this season, and, I loved him dressed as the Ghostbuster and just his mom being so adorable, taking pictures of him. But I do agree, him, first trying to hide the secret with Dart, but then his relationship with Steve, like just that iconic scene of Queen playing and them showing up to his house. And it's just like, they kind of have this surrogate big brother moment together. And it's just so cute. But I really do agree. I think the moment that really made me go, oh, was when Steve's fighting the Demodogs and Max is like, what is he doing? He's insane. And Dustin goes, he's awesome. So that friendship really, really was amazing. And I really did love, like we spoke at the snowball, him with Nancy and him kind of getting his confidence. And, it just goes to show you that, I don't know, he's just like, he's such a sweet character. And despite all the craziness that's going on, he's still caring about his friends and he's, building friendships like with Steve and Nancy. And it shows how many people really care for Dustin. So that was great.
yeah, definitely. He has such a big heart.
Aw.
What are some of your favorite season 3 moments?
Ooh, I would say his handshake with Steve. We gotta learn that. That's amazing. I love that. I definitely love the elevator scene, them all just screeching at the top of their lungs. Him being horrified that Steve's peeing on top of the elevator, which I'm like, you guys have been down there for a while. Everybody would have to pee. And I just really, really like him. Like, it's almost like roles are reversed when Steven and Robin are drugged and he's with Erica. And I love how he like sits them down in Back to the Future and him going, it's official. I'm never having kids. And of course, the never ending story scene. How could we forget the look on Erica's face? I actually just rewatched that episode last night. I was pissing myself over just the look of disgust on her face. But I really did like that you get to see Dustin like stressed and when he finds out that Steve gave away like his address and his name, he's like, "You need to resist. What's the matter with you?" Just so funny. What about you?
Yeah, he's hilarious. Obviously, never ending story, and all of the stuff you mentioned is so good. And then just like any scene at Scoops Ahoy with Steve. So, like the handshake that you mentioned, but also like when they're sitting offering Erica the ice cream.
Oh my god,
And when he's sitting with Steve, like telling him like about everything. And I it's funny when he said, like, you can have all the girls in the world and more. Like Steve is like, "I like more."
our antennas go up. We're like, "Mhm,
Yes,
yep."
exactly. But and then when Steve is, trying to push him into the air ducts,
How
he's
could I
like,
forget?
"Just touch my butt."
Just screaming. He can bend like Gumbo, and just I don't know, that scene is iconic. I love that scene.
Yeah, I think just every scene at Scoops Ahoy is hilarious. But then I'm glad you brought up the elevator. Oh, and the moment where he tells Steve, like, "If you die, I die." Like, just that like, bond that they have, and
Oh
Steve,
my
like,
god.
looks at him like he can't believe that this kid
Mhm.
cares that much about him, which
That really cements the friendship right there, how much Dustin loves him, like, that was really cute. I do love that moment. I have that on a T-shirt, actually.
do you?
I do.
That's awesome. Okay, so season 4, I will say that basically any moment that Steve and Dustin are together
Oh, yeah.
and any moment that Eddie and Dustin are together. Like,
Mhm.
those are the best, I think, moments in season 4 for me, for Dustin, and they're together a lot, like,
Yeah.
because they're all kind of together throughout the whole time. So, in the boathouse, when he's trying to, like, talk Eddie down, he's like, "This is Steve, this is
Yep.
Robin, this is
I swear on
Max,"
my
like
mother.
yes. And Steve's like, "On yes, on Dustin's mother." Then when he's kind of, like, explaining things to Eddie in the boathouse, just
Mhm.
that whole, like, boathouse scene is very, like, emotional and powerful with Dustin. When he's in the field with
Oh,
Eddie, kind of, like,
yeah.
being so playful and Eddie tells him not to change. You already brought up, like, in the car with Steve, like, when Steve's like, "Too far, too far."
Too far?
But,
Yeah,
like,
too far.
they're so sassy with each other. But then something else I just remembered was, like, the D&D stuff at the beginning too,
Oh,
like, with Mike and kind of, like, in the cafeteria, and then with
mhm.
him kind of, like, asking a bunch of people, including Max, like, if they will play. And then isn't it Dustin who has the spark of inspiration to ask
Yep.
Erica, and he runs up the hill towards the middle school, and Mike is like, "Tell me things, like, what are you doing?"
I don't know if you ever caught it, but there's a skateboarder, I think, going down the hill at that exact moment, and Dustin screams at the kid, "Wear a helmet," which I always die over. Love that.
That's fantastic. I think I do remember that now that you say it.
He really shined this season, not only with comedic relief with the sass, but, him right away, like when Lucas notices how hairy Steve got, him being like, right? Like, I tell him he needs to tame this jungle. And the look on his and Lucas's face when Max just keeps looking through the binoculars, iconic. But I really love like his nervousness of trying to tell Eddie that Lucas is gonna make it to Hellfire. We've all been there where we've had to break some bad news, and excuse me, Dustin is totally me, just nervously trying to laugh through it. And, we get to see his brains work a lot. I really do love his, like, bullshit excuse to the adults and the police being like, "Little night swim? Went for a little night swim?"
I
And
forgot about that, yeah.
that whole
That's really
scene
funny.
kills me. Him losing his mind when they're not getting, like, what he means with the light bright. And then, like, on kind of a downer note, like, we do get to see some truly amazing acting chops, not only with Eddie's demise, like, that's a heavy, heavy ass scene, and then him
Yeah.
speaking to Wayne. Oh my god, not a dry eye in the house, you know?
No, absolutely not, and Gaten talked in an interview about filming that scene and how the
Mm,
scene that Eddie dies and just how kind of scary it was going into it because he knew how difficult it was gonna be and
yeah.
how there was just, like, so much crying because,
Oh.
like, he's crying and, I mean, you know how many, like, takes I'm sure that they had to take of,
Mhm.
like of that whole scene, so, yeah, it was gut-wrenching, and I
Yeah.
like that you kind of, like, brought up, like, there is such a good balance between, like, his funny moments, but also
Mhm.
his really emotional, powerful moments in especially in season 4.
Absolutely. Great range, this kid. Great range.
Yeah. So, do you wanna talk a little bit more about Gaten and about some of his other projects and his career?
Sure. You mentioned, now I'm not really a huge theater person, but I know from a very young age, he started off in Broadway, correct?
So he was in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which I think that was when he was very young.
Mhm.
I've never seen that show. He was in Les Mis,
Oh,
which
wow.
fun connection because we've talked about Joseph Quinn in that adaptation, but he was in
Mhm.
the musical version that's on
Okay.
Broadway, but he plays, like, the little kid, Gavroche, I think is his name.
Mhm.
So I watched a really cute video of him, like, when he was doing that role, like, showing people around, like, backstage and stuff, and he's just so small. It's, like, before Stranger Things.
That's adorable.
You can tell, like, just how excited he was about acting. He was talking about how he auditioned, like, for years for that show and was just so thrilled when he finally got it because he
Aw.
really wanted it, and how he didn't want his friends to treat him any differently, which I'm
Mhm.
sure has kind of, like, continued, and it's just, like, I guess a good thing that he kind of had that background going into Stranger Things because who would have thought, like, that this show would become what it is.
Mm.
But he was also in Dear Evan Hansen, which that's kind of like a deep I know
Oh,
what that
wow.
show is about, but
Yeah.
I have not seen it. It was a fun connection because at one point, Maya Hawke and Sadie Sink went to see him in that show, and he
Oh my
was
god.
so, like, surprised and excited for them. So, that's a cool connection. And then most recently, he was in Sweeney Todd.
Oh, wow.
And that's, like, just since season 4, so he's still doing Broadway. Like, he started out with Broadway, but even throughout, like, his career while he's been in Stranger Things, he's still been doing Broadway. So, that's really cool, and I think that that, like you said, has helped him develop into the actor that he is.
Mhm. What a beautiful voice he has too. I know obviously he's had to use his talent on Broadway, but I know he collaborated with Darren Criss from Glee for a while and his late brother. And I think they were called like Computer Boys or something like that. And he has a beautiful, beautiful voice, which, it's hard. Not only are you a talented actor on the stage and on the screen, but also you have a beautiful voice to back it up, which is just fantastic.
That's really cool. He has been nominated for quite a few awards,
Oh, wow.
including Kids' Choice Awards, Teen Choice Awards, MTV Awards, Screen Actors Guild Awards. So he's definitely getting recognized because
Hmm.
some of those were, with the cast in the case of like this the SAG Awards, but like a lot of the other ones were just for him as
Hmm.
like the role that he's played in Stranger Things. Most kind of recently, he is a Nintendo partner, so he kind of, like, talks,
Ooh,
about his love of gaming and playing Nintendo and does ads for them, which
I
is
love
pretty
that.
cool. Speaking of ads, I watched a video last night while I was kind of, like, searching for stuff about Gaten that I have to send to you because I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a Domino's commercial that came out, I guess, before season 4,
Is it him and
and
Caleb?
it's him and Caleb, yeah,
Okay.
and then there's, like, a girl that kind of, like, looks like 11 who is trying to, like, order Domino's with her mind, And so,
I
like,
haven't seen that
while
one.
while he and Caleb are at the Domino's, like, the lights flicker and stuff, and then an order comes through out of nowhere. Like,
I'm dying.
and it's,
Oh,
like, it's kind of long. It's, like, one of those, like, kind of mini film type advertisements, and I was like, "I never saw this, like, this is wild." So
that is adorable. Oh
and
my
it
god.
was him and Caleb, like, riding bikes and stuff too to, like, go get the pizza.
Be like, where the hell are we gonna put it?
Yeah. So that was really entertaining. He also talked in an interview with CNN Underscored about how he enjoys rock climbing and he's learning to
Wow.
play ice hockey, which I think those were some cool things, like,
Yeah.
to, like, kind of fill his time. Those are some of his passions. He at MegaCon Orlando, so do you remember this? He said in the interview, like, of one thing he would change about the show, and said that he thinks that more people should die.
Oh, he pulled the Millie Bobby Brown.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I just thought that was interesting. I get it when they say things like that,
Yeah.
but then I also am like, plenty of people have died in the show.
Yep, we
There's
don't need
lots
any
of
more.
death, and it's also like, it has to keep I think I've talked about this before, it has to, like, keep that balance between getting too dark because
Yes.
the original kind of, like, vibe of the show was that it was dark, but it had that lightheartedness as well. Like,
Mhm.
so I feel like it has a good balance in
Yeah.
that way, and that's why it's so appealing to so many people because
Mhm.
it has some horror elements and some darker elements without going too far in that direction, so it can stay kind of, like, lighthearted in a way.
'Cause I feel like if you just keep killing cast off, I mean, I know you and I are fans of Game of Thrones, and the appeal of that show was it could happen to anybody, but after a while, I was getting a little depressed and discouraged because I said, "Wow, you grow so attached to these characters and they're dropping like flies." And with Stranger Things, we've watched a lot of these characters grow and develop relationships and form teams. I'm sure some people are up on the chopping block because this is the final season, but I liked, like you said, the balance that they've been able to keep throughout the seasons, that we're still ripping your heart out, but we're not stomping on it.
Yeah. Other movies that he's done, he was in a movie called Honor Society. Have you seen it?
I've heard of it.
So it's a Paramount Plus movie, and I did watch it. It came
How
out,
is
like,
it?
back in the end of 2022. It was really fun. I really
Ah,
enjoyed it.
awesome.
Yeah, so it's like a high school drama. The main character is a girl named Honor, and she's kind of like a very, like, straight A type of student, and she's
Mhm,
trying to get into, like, a good school, and he is also trying to get into that school. He's a classmate of hers, and
mhm.
I don't remember all of the details of what happens, but they end up working on some things together and getting to know each other a little bit more, and it's a really fun, just kind of like high school drama, comedy,
I'll
and
check that
he
out
does a
tonight.
great job with it. Yeah. I don't Do you have Paramount Plus?
The people I'm dog sitting for do, so
Oh,
yes, I do.
yes. You have to take advantage of that because I think I had to sign up for it just so I could watch that movie. He has done some voice acting work. He was in,
Mhm.
like, the Angry Birds movie as, like,
That's
one of
too
the
funny.
actors. He did a cameo as himself in a movie called Please Don't Destroy, which
Ooh.
I have not seen it, but I saw, like, a clip and it looked hilarious.
Mhm.
And then I think, just lives kind of in New York City, New Jersey area. I think he lives with his girlfriend.
Mhm.
He's dating Lizzie Yu, who is also an actress,
Oh,
and
cool.
she is in that new, Avatar: The Last Airbender that just came out
Oh, yep,
on
yep, yep.
Netflix. So I thought that was a pretty cool connection because I think people have been talking about that, and I've heard really good things.
Mhm.
He has 3 cats, or he did at one point.
I love that.
I
Love
love that
that.
too. In an interview with Esquire, they talked about him potentially, like, playing a part in the Star Wars kind of universe,
Could
and that
you
he would
imagine?
love to do that, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, let's put that out there in the universe for him because that would be amazing."
That'd be
Like,
perfection. Yep.
yes, I can totally understand him, like, wanting to do that, and I just think it's a fun connection with his character in Stranger Things being a Star Wars fan too, so
Love
and
that.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I think he's had such just an impressive career as such a young actor. I mean, he's 21 years old, like, and he's already done so much. So I'm just
Mhm.
so excited to see what he does in the future. Like, I'm sure that just like all of the younger cast, he's kind of emotional about Stranger
Yeah.
Things coming to an end, but I'm excited for that to be kind of like that chapter to kind of end for him so that he can move on and do more with his career. So,
See what he can do next, and from
yeah.
we've never met him, but we've seen footage of him meeting fans. He seems like the biggest sweetheart, so hopefully we get that opportunity one day in the future.
Yeah. Oh, and that was another Star Wars thing that he said that I think this was a quote on like IMDb, so I'm not sure the source of it. So he said that he doesn't really like fan out about a lot of actors because like
Mhm.
they're just people doing their jobs, but that he has a little bit about Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, which I
That's
was like,
fantastic.
yes.
You're like,
Like
"I get you, kid, I get you." Yep.
on the same page with you there, Gaten. Because if you don't know, those are the actors that played Luke Skywalker and Han Solo in Star Wars.
Best of the best.
Yeah, just a fun Star Wars connection there with Gaten.
Love that.
Wow, that was so fun.
A blast. I was looking forward to this episode for a while because, like we
Me
said,
too.
Dustin, it's close to our hearts, man.
Yes, absolutely. So let us know your favorite moments with Dustin. We can't wait to hear them. Yeah, should we get into filming updates?
Let's do filming updates, man.
Okay. The pattern has continued the every
Mhm.
2 weeks on Friday. So when you're listening to this, there's probably not going to be any filming updates the day you listen to this, but next week, stay tuned.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. The pictures dropped, and I wasn't on Instagram a lot that day. So I actually saw this on Facebook first, but
Oh,
it
well.
was a photo of David Harbour
Hello, daddy.
looking mm,
Mm.
some type of way.
Mhm.
No, he just looked so, like, happy, like, he's always when he's just, like, not Hopper I mean, I love Hopper too, but when it's, like, a photo of David, I feel like that man is always smiling.
Always
Like,
having a
he's
blast.
just such a fun, happy individual. Like, you know what? At that convention in October, I think he would be, like, one of the top ones that I would, like,
Oh, yeah.
die to meet. Like, I don't know if he's too big for a convention like that, but, like, man, I would love to meet that man. Like, he just seems like
Just a
the
ball of
best
fun, man.
human being. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think I would love to meet him more than, like, anybody other than Joe Keery.
I would have
Like
to say, yeah, same. Like, I followed him so closely during the pandemic where he was with his, now current wife and stepdaughters, and he was just so hysterical doing live videos from set. And Millie Bobby Brown would be like, "Are you even supposed to be doing this?" Like, he just was so funny. And the few times I've seen people meet him at conventions, he's hilarious. Like, everybody knows the story of him. He told the girl, "If you get so many likes on Facebook, I will pose for your senior portraits." And he did it. And he is. You have to look this up. He's
I
literally
did
like,
not know that.
he flew
Yeah.
to this girl's like high school and it's him like holding like a trombone and stuff. It's so iconic. So clearly the man doesn't take himself too serious. So seeing like an actual real photo of him on set, we were like, we're back, baby.
Yeah, yeah, and I love his beard. I had known that he was gonna have that epic beard because he's done some, like, advertisements for, like, video games recently, and I was
Hmm.
like, "That Hopper's gonna have an epic beard in season 5." But, yeah, that was great. There was a photo of the Duffer Brothers looking
Hmm.
very happy. They look like fun guys
They
too.
do.
Let's talk about the Alf is it Alf poster? What is that guy
Yes,
that
Elf.
okay.
That's the alien that
Yeah.
eats the cats, which, ooh, dark throwback.
Oh,
Ooh.
Dark
Ooh,
Connection, maybe. Yeah.
maybe.
I didn't know Alf ate cats.
It's terrifying. He's along the lines with ET. Like, what was it with the 1980s and aliens just being freaking terrifying? But yeah, he'd eat
Yeah.
cats. And it was a
But that looked
sitcom too.
like a children's room, didn't
Yeah,
it? And then it had, like, the books, so you could see, like, a Peter Pan book, a Nancy Drew novel.
I'm leaning towards maybe Holly, but it could be Erica. I'm not too sure. This is a guess. But yeah, there were different books like that you were able to spot out. And what were they again? Peter Pan and what else?
A Nancy Drew.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
there we go.
yeah. I was thinking
Mm,
Holly too, because I definitely think Holly's gonna have a bigger role in season 5.
I agree.
So, I don't know. Did, like, little kids like Alf in the 80s?
I
Because he was, like,
believe they did.
cute?
It was
Okay.
like a little before our time, but I just remember watching reruns of it and my mother explaining to me, she was like, "Yeah, I don't know why kids liked this so much because literally he eats cats and the whole like plot of the show is him going after the family's cat." I'm like, "Jesus Christ,
I
somebody
can't. That
take
sounds
that thing in the
terrible.
basement, lock him up." Oh God.
Oh gosh. There were some fluffy pink heels type slippers. That was the
Yeah.
most random thing, and with green tile and a carpeted floor. But you spotted that that seems like a Karen Wheeler vibe, and what
Yep.
did you notice?
I noticed because there's that iconic scene of her just trying to relax, man, season 2, and she's listening to memories from The Way We Are. She's got all her candles and she's reading her smut, as one would. That
Yeah.
was that was OG archive, people, okay? And with the cover that looks like Billy, and I just love that Ted sleeps through that freaking doorbell 9,000
Yeah.
times. But I looked and I went, "Oh, yeah, like, she has green tile. It looks like the step down from our bathroom." And it was the '80s, people, like, there was carpet everywhere, no matter how
Carpet in the
disgusting.
bathroom. Yep.
Let that set in for a minute. Carpet in the bathroom. Hmm. But, it does also kind of look like something cute, that she would wear. So, I don't know, I think, like you said, Holly and I think Karen are gonna be a little more upfront and maybe
Yeah.
have a bigger role. So, I think those were a few little clues for us with those characters.
There was a picture of the rainbow room, and it was, like, blood references, so I
Mhm.
feel like maybe they're kind of recreating that scene, so they have to make sure that the blood is all in the right
Continuity.
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is interesting that we're gonna get more of, like, the lab like that, because we got a lot of that in season 4.
Mhm.
There was an advertisement for Turnbow Land Development and Realty, so I'm thinking, like, some sort of, like, realtor.
A development?
Yeah, like home developments, and it was like a happy family, but then the man had, like, his mouth torn off in a very, like, ominous kind of scary
Whoa.
way of this advertisement, so I'm
Mhm.
wondering about that. I feel like we're just gonna see some shot with, like, a guy missing his mouth, like, like Walking Dead style, like
Demogorgon just crawls through the billboard. We're screaming.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
They had their classic, like, Days shot jar where they're putting the
Yeah.
marbles in. I think we're, like, over 2 months in, right?
Isn't that
Like,
crazy?
we're in
Yeah.
month 3 of filming. Then on Raw Stuffer's story, so it wasn't in this same, like, slideshow, there was the shot of the 4 hands stacked on top of each other.
Oh,
And I know a lot of people were kinda, like, trying to figure out whose hands they were, and I think the general consensus was that it was Mike, and then Lucas, and then Will, and then Dustin on the top. So,
the
like, our
OG4.
original 4 of the party. So it was a very, like, touching kind of shot.
Just something about those shots of all the hands going in, it reminds me of movies like The Monster Squad, The Goonies, even The Sandlot, because that was something we did
Yes.
as kids.
Yep.
So that was really cute, and, you know, you could kinda tell who was who with costume, but I really did like that because I was like, "Ooh, look at them all together again." That's great, you know?
Yeah, definitely excited to see, like, the 4 OG party members together. And then you said you saw, like, a leaked photo of more, like, pool noodle, like upside down vines, like
Yep,
so it
being
looks like
told somewhere, God knows, you know?
yeah, they're definitely gonna have lots of upside down scenes this season. And I just remembered this now, Kara, who plays Karen Wheeler, she on her Instagram story, I think, was posting some videos and stories of, like, coming home after a night shoot. So she was,
Ooh.
like, shooting in the evening. And then what about Millie? That was so
This
fun.
killed me. So she shows up on what I'm going to assume is the new hangout. Could be the radio station, could be anywhere. And it's where there's, pinball machines and, arcade games. And it looks like a set. And she had her little nosebleed, which was adorable. And she kind of did like a live post where she was making her Florence coffee, which that looked
It looks
delicious.
so good, I kinda wanna order it. It was a great advertisement.
It really was, and I just love how real it was, like, she pulled definitely a me, she spilt the milk and was like, "Cut that out." I'm like, "That's Stacy energy." But, it was cool seeing her on set, and a friend of mine, Jackie, pointed out, she went, "Look at how many people are asking about her nosebleed. They don't realize it's from Stranger Things," so I was
Oh,
dying.
really? I feel like right away, because she also was like, "Oh, shoot, like, I got that on my costume." Like, that was her
Yep.
costume, and I loved the
Mhm.
bandana, like, it was so cute,
Right?
but, like, I really do feel like they're dressed kind of like, like, this is the apocalypse, we're, like,
Yes.
monster hunting, like, I don't know, just, like, adventuring type of, like, Goonies vibes.
No more cute jumpsuits from Starcourt.
No, no. No more cute, like, street clothes. Alright, tell me about merch. I don't know what you have planned for us to talk about today.
So merch has been pretty exciting. I noticed a bunch of people sent me photos from Walmart. It looks as though because Netflix has an affiliation with Walmart, they restocked a bunch of stuff. And what I went hunting for yesterday was they have Bluetooth speakers, which are adorable, of the characters. And then two new ones that they've released is Battle Eddie with his guitar and his green vest, and then a beat up Scoops Ahoy Steve with like his eyes swollen shut. It's the cutest freaking thing ever. So I went to my Walmart, I traveled, and of course they had everything but that. I was like, are you kidding me? But they had some cool stuff. They had the like the series 2 capsules, which they're a little more on the expensive side, and like doing just a blind draw like that, I know I'll get like 10 of the same ones. So I was like, I'm gonna wait on that. But they also had these cute bag clips and they were only for $4, and basically they're made out of, like, felt and cloth, and I got a Dustin and I got an Eddie, which I was
Oh,
like, "Oh, look at that,
perfect.
flying by, love
Yeah.
that." But I got those, and they had some T-shirts, they had a Hellfire lamp as well, they had some new socks, they even had, some pillows and T-shirts that in the packaging, it looked like it was a VHS tape for Stranger Things. So they had a lot of cool, really cute things. Definitely, I'm gonna be traveling around looking for these Bluetooth speakers because I already have an OG Eddie and a Dustin, so keep my eyes peeled. And then, Funko released an announcement that they are going to be doing another wave of pops. They already announced some of these already, but it's gonna be Mike with Will's painting, Vecna, the transformation, so it might be him, like, all burnt up, I guess, half and half. Chrissy floating, which I called it from the very beginning. I was like, I can't wait for that. And the fact that we're gonna get a Chrissy pop. Murray with the flamethrower, can't wait. Max and Lucas 2-pack. Max at the cemetery. And then they have these little, I don't know if you've seen them, they're little pop figures that come in soda cans. They're really cute. I have a Steve one from season 2. They're gonna do 11, Dustin, Steve, Robin, Eddie, and Vecna. So there is no release date just yet with that, but they
Okay.
did make that announcement. So us pop collectors are losing our minds. And but yeah, I tried another secret menu item. It was called the Chrissy Crumble.
Oh, yeah, I wanna hear about this.
It was pretty good. It was a like a caramel ribbon frappuccino. So it had like 10 million calories, but YOLO. And I was like, I read the original recipe and I was like, meh. So it had cookie crumbles in it, which was delicious. But I said, we got to make this a little bloody and gross. So I said, throw in some strawberry puree. And the person was like, yeah, caramel and strawberry. And I'm like, yeah. And it ended up being quite delicious, but yet again, very, very sweet. But low key delicious. I love me a milkshake, and it kind of tastes
Yeah.
like a milkshake.
Yeah.
And we love Chrissy, and I actually forgot that I had set my alarm earlier this morning. So while I was drinking it, my alarm to wake up every day is Chrissy wake up. So I almost spit out my drink laughing because I was like, oh man, it'll never get old. So yeah, Chrissy crumbled, my friend. Check it out.
Yeah, that sounds delicious. I think I like the addition of the strawberry. That sounds good.
Right? Fools you into thinking it's a little healthier. It's not.
Yeah. I got some merch this week. I ordered from Kelly,
Oh,
our friend that we've had on the show before, Joe Carey Daily. She has a Redbubble. So
oh
I
yeah.
ordered a mug that has like the "Just Trust Me, You'll Be Fine" that she made with like the Chicago City like
Oh my
skyline.
god.
And then I ordered some stickers too from her.
I had
So
no idea. I'm gonna have to order from her. That's fantastic.
yeah. Yeah, I told her she should kind of like, share that link more often because I didn't really realize that she had a Redbubble, so it was cool.
I'm telling you, I think Redbubble is really awesome. And my friend Brandy just showed me Macari, which I had no idea about. Oh my God, you can find stuff for so cheap and rare promotional items that if you were to go on eBay, they'd be going for much, much more. So really always fun to be on the hunt for new stuff like that.
Yeah, that's super fun. I guess you could probably find some, like, pops and stuff on there.
Tons, dude,
Yeah,
tons. Oh yeah.
yeah. Alright, well, that was a fun little merch segment.
That was fun.
Always fun to talk about new stuff coming out, so
Yeah.
alright, this was such a fun episode as always.
Was.
Hopefully everybody listening agrees, like, we're over here
Hell
just
yeah.
having a blast. We hope you enjoyed listening. Thank you for listening. Find us on social media at Skull Rock Broadcast. And we will not talk to you next week, but we will talk to you in 2 weeks. And we'll get started on our rewatch soon. We're super excited for people to follow along with us. And like you said, really go deep down into the upside down. Well, over and out.
Over and out.
Eddie, I'm not sure I love the idea of you driving.
Oh, I'm starting to suffer. Harrington's got her. Don't you, big boy?
Let's get our steady on.
So we're back. We're back. We're ready to get our steady on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're putting on the t-shirt.
I think that's perfect, man. Come on.
So, welcome to the secret segment where we dive into all things steady, all things fan fiction. So, if that's not your thing, just a reminder, get out of here.
Run for the
we
hills.
still love you. We
Yeah.
still love you. Let's chat about what we've been reading this week because I have a few things that I want to talk about, but I'll let you go first.
Yes, yes, yes. So I finished up that wonderful, wonderful story by Old Stars where it's about Robin and Steve. They kind of have their lavender marriage and they have 2 children. And Eddie's teaching at the same school that they're teaching at. It was so, so sweet. It was a slightly longer story, but it really just pulled at the heartstrings. I found it so incredibly well written. And I don't know, just seeing like Steve as a dad, like that man was just meant to have children. And it's just so incredibly sweet because, especially towards the end of the chapters, you see more interaction with his 4-year-old, 5-year-old daughter and Eddie, and she calls him Mr. Eddie. And they just, it's
Mhm.
so like so many touching, like, oh, moments between them. And obviously, kind of Steve and Eddie have to figure their shit out. But it's just one of those, moments where you see Wayne giving just classic advice, just being like, that boy cares for you. And I was just giggling like a schoolgirl, but I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed that fic.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to get to that one
What have you been
eventually.
reading?
I have been reading Late Bloomers. So I know I talked about the
Mm,
first 2 chapters last week.
yeah.
That is so good. They released chapter 3, which I said that I had not read yet, and I did finish that, and then today, chapter 4 came out, and I was so excited about it that I even, like, opened it before we started recording this morning and read a few pages.
Hell yeah.
So much fun, just really cool portrayal of these guys and just a different kind of dynamic between them, and some stuff that's pretty hot. I'm not gonna
Ooh,
lie.
okay. Color me intrigued. Yeah.
So, Late Bloomers is kind of my current, like, fave, and then I finally last night got back into I Come Back to the Place You Are, which you know
Oh,
because
yep.
I was texting you about it.
Mm-hmm.
So some stuff went down, and after that happened with everything that I texted you about,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say, like, with Al.
Yeah.
And then, Steve has to get something new, and
Oh,
that was
yes.
really cool.
Yeah.
And then the tape,
Yep.
and then Eddie kind of figures some stuff out
Yep.
and goes to talk to Robin, and then he comes home and it's raining, and
Oh, yes.
then I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's about to get really good, and I'm too sleepy for this," so I put it down. So I'm really
So
excited.
smart. So
I'm really,
smart.
really, really excited about it.
That is the epitome of a slow burn payoff. And you
Yes,
were very wise to put it down because you want to enjoy this.
exactly, exactly. So that's where I'm at with that. I think I did a pretty good job. Hopefully people aren't too annoyed listening
Wink,
to
wink. Yeah.
if you know, you know.
Yeah.
If you don't know, go read the fic because it's
You're in
really
for a
good.
treat.
And then I wanted to talk about this podfic that I read this week or I listened to because
Ooh.
it literally changed my whole day on Thursday. I had a rough
Oh.
day, rough week at school,
Yeah.
work, and I was leaving and I'm like, I have a long drive today. Let me find a podfic to listen to.
Mm.
And it was a new podfic by some people who make podfics that I know. And it was called, Come Get Your Man. I think he got lost in my DMs, which is like lyrics from a Lizzo song. But it's a modern AU TikTok influencers. So it reminded, me of the, what was it called again?
Oh, they're going to send us to prison for being jerks.
Yes.
Yep.
So, similar vibes, but the podfic was so well done, bunch of different narrators, different voices for the different characters and stuff, and I'm so excited for you to listen to it,
Oh, I can't wait.
Stacey, you, and, like, all of you listening because it is hilarious, so delightful, just the best, and it's only, like, 45 minutes to
That's
listen
not
to,
bad.
so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was, like, my other favorite thing that I listened to this week.
Ooh, I am pumped, man.
Yeah, so it was a fun week for reading study fix. All right. Well, like we said before, we will talk to you soon and can't wait to keep, what is it? Going steady or get our steady on again
Get a
soon.
steady on. Woo!
All right. Peace out.
Over it out.